Kerri.
And we are Paranormal Chicks.
Episode 44. And we like to score.
Oh my God, have you ever watched Grease 2?
Yeah.
Because we're going to score tonight.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I just remember he's a ghost writer.
Cool writer, but
Same
okay.
thing. I mean, it's a paranormal podcast.
Right? Nicolas Cage. Like, what? Imagine that. Kerri got it wrong.
Imagine that. Kerri didn't know words to a song. Why did I refer to myself in third person? You know why? Because I've been around my nephews.
They do that?
Yes. It's like the new cool thing to do. I don't understand it. Both of the ones in high school.
Well, it's not cool, but okay.
No, it's stupid. But both of the ones in high school do it. And I'm like, stop.
Yeah, no.
Stop referring. Kerri likes da-da-da-da-da. That's dumb. Don't.
No.
And every time they do it, I look at them and I go, that's dumb.
Hey, I mean, tough love.
Stop that.
Hey, that reminds me, though, there's this show coming on A&E, and it is about a lady who has multiple personalities. And it's like the mini blah, blah, blah of Jane. I can't remember. So, sorry, y'all, I don't know. But
oh, my God, that's going to be good.
Because I watched 60 Days In, and it...
Is that back on?
Uh-huh. I told everybody. But it was like... She is like a 13-year-old girl, but she's really like 30.
Yeah.
And so when I was like, oh shit. What? And she's like, I don't want to get rid of these personalities. I just want them to work better. Like, one of her personalities got a tattoo.
Oh, no.
Yes. So it looks good. I'll have to figure it out and I'll put it on social or something.
Okay. Oh, guess what?
What?
We got a new Creepinati member.
Yay! Who's that guy? That's also from...
Oh, it sure is from Grease 2.
Yep.
Anyway, it's not a guy, but it's Lexi N from Fort Worth, Texas. We see you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Welcome to the Creepinati.
Welcome. I tried my hand at... Look, I'm trying this whole cooking business because... Well, I hate cooking, but I'm also tired of spending bukus of fucking money going out to eat. So, I'm trying to cook more. And I found a beef stroganoff recipe on Pinterest that was super easy.
And super fucking good.
Yeah, it was really good. So, we had that. Carbs. Lots of carbs.
And I was like, do you have any crackers? And I said, what would go better with pasta? Oh, more carbs. Okay. Speaking of everything good... Let's get into your story.
Oh, I thought you were going to have a podcast recommendation.
No, I'm still stuck on my cold, my broken heart, and...
Oh, I did. I am listening to Barefoot.
Bear Brook.
That. And it's good.
Yay, I'm glad you like it.
Tally for Donna.
Y'all, we're going to make that a shirt. Not tally for Kerri, because let's just be honest, I win.
No, you don't.
Tally for Donna. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so for this story, we're going to hop on a plane.
Okay.
Cross the pond. And we're going to talk about the serial killer.
Jack the Ripper.
Stephen Sean Griffiths.
SSG. Okay.
Okay, so he was born December 24th, 1969. That sucks. Probably got really shitty birthday gifts. They were all Christmas gifts.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, when was it?
December 24th.
Okay, because I was just thinking 69.
Not 69.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that sucks. What?
Wait, when was his birthday? January 14th?
I really thought it was January.
Oh, my God. Right now it is, not his birthday.
Well, my brother's is January the 1st, and he always got shitty gifts, too. Because, hello, you blow your load at Christmas, and then you're like... Oh, here's what was left.
Especially growing up poor because your parents did all they could to get you the Christmas gifts, and it was like, sorry.
New Year, who dis?
New Year, we're transferring funds so that we can pay that credit card off. Transfer and balance.
Right.
Okay. Well, anyway, he was the firstborn of his parents, Stephen and Moira. His dad was a frozen food salesman, and... It said that his mom was like a pretty big con artist. Like she later was convicted of fraud.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. So his parents got divorced when he was 13. But when they got divorced, he and his siblings had to go live with his mom. So she's this con woman that she ends up getting locked up for fraud. She has a criminal history even at the time. And it's like, he still doesn't go with his dad. He goes with her.
Yeah.
When he was growing up, this is so fucking weird. He would be hanging out. His mom and her, like, different boyfriends and stuff would be hanging out in the garden having sex. And he just liked to watch his mother have sex with different men. What the fuck? I get voyeurism. I mean, I get it. But your mom?
How old was he?
I don't know.
I mean, he probably positioned himself where he didn't see her face.
Oh my God, that's still your mother.
I mean, it's gross, but...
Could you watch your mother have sex?
I mean, I walked in on him and I was blind.
Did you?
Yes! And she was on top, ladies and gentlemen.
Good for you, Patty Joe.
She was like, Donnelly! Close that door! I mean, how was I supposed to know when no one answered and I went through? But it had
How old were you?
Middle school?
What?
Yes.
I swear to God, I've never heard this story in my life. Pause for the podcast for me to hear this story and tell it. Because how have I never heard this story?
I knocked on the door because this is an old house. You know? Didn't hear anything.
Well, why didn't they say, hang on?
They probably did it. I just didn't. And so normally they would lock the door or whatever, and I guess this time they didn't. But I want to say they had a chain on their door, and so they had locked that maybe, and not the, and I pushed.
What y'all can't see is she's peeping around, she's trying to look in the little hole, what y'all doing in there?
Yeah, I mean, I need my mama.
Why can't I get in? Hello?
Yeah.
Why's my daddy hurt my mama?
No, she was hurting him, folks. I was like, okay, sorry, bye.
Did you know that's what they were doing?
Well, hells yeah. Y'all, I grew up knowing what a dildo was because my parents had it. My mom and my sister had a store that, Jill of all trades, they did gag gifts. They were the first people that ever had those stink bombs in, and the police would have to come and be like, did you sell so-and-so a stink bomb? They let it go in the middle school gymnasium.
Really?
Yes.
How have I never heard these stories?
Yes. And so they did woodwork. So half of it was DIY crafts, all this. And then they had lattice work that said 18 years or older behind here. And it was where it would have cigarette lighters that if you rubbed it, you could see their boobs and shit, you know? And I'd be like, ooh, let me see.
18 years or older and 3-year-old Donna.
Yes. And so, they had and it wasn't functioning dildos.
It was gag dildos.
Yeah. Well, could be that. Yeah, so it was gag gifts, stuff edible panties.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But so I grew up.
Speak for yourself. A gag gift of that.
But so I grew up with that. So yeah, I knew.
I truly have no idea when my parents ever had sex.
Oh my God. And also, I walked in on Barbara and Kenneth, my brother and sister-in-law, having sex one time. And, okay, so I had, back in the day, this went skirt to tangent time. We haven't had a really good tangent time. Here it is. Donna's sex education. So, back in the day, we had commercials that would have oldie songs that were sold in the volumes or whatever. And not talking about jock jams, talking about, the old things. Well, there was this song and it got in my head and I was like, I'm going to bust in. Because Kenneth, his room, they lived with us, but his room was also where Chucky was in that little thing before. So it was a little, like a little cove that you had to go through to get to his room. Well, I busted in, it was at night, so whatever. Probably fucking 2 a.m. because when do those stupid infomercials come on? But I busted in and I was like, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. And it's black and all I see is Barbara's cigarette. Yes. And she was like, Donna, get out of here. like, return to sender.
Oh my god! So they weren't having sex.
No, they
She was
had
like
it.
the after sex.
Yes. Oh god.
That tells you how long ago it was too, because she was smoking inside.
No.
Golly!
Oh my god, y'all.
Okay,
Every time you say this is really weird, I'm like,
you do. You really do. Like,
every time.
yeah, no, I can kind of see that. Well, that's really weird.
I mean, I get that it's weird, but if he's a teenage guy, I mean, he might not be able to, like, you know, at this point, he probably didn't have the fucking internet, so he was like, okay, put my thumb over her face, close one eye.
That's still weird.
And be like, okay.
No, it's his mom. Like, it's
I mean, it is weird, but I'm just saying.
Anyway, okay, it's odd. So Stephen was also a bit of a thief. When he was a teenager, he would like go around shoplifting stuff. One time, he's at this. I'm picturing a gas station, but I don't know where it was. And so he's about to steal some stuff, and the clerk that was working there tried to stop him, and so he sliced the clerk's face with a knife.
Fuck.
Yeah, and so because of this, he got arrested, and he was sentenced to 3 years in youth custody.
Shit.
Yes, he was 17 at the time. So when he was in like youth prison, basically, he lost all contact with his family. He told his psychiatrist and his probation officer, because he was released after like a year, that he fantasized about being a serial killer.
And they said, oh, he...
Early release.
yeah.
1 year of 3. I mean, if he wouldn't have said he wanted to be a serial killer, I mean, we would have kept him 6 months.
Right.
So anyway.
No, if he would have not said that, it would have been like on Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly.
Where he's like, no, I'm good. And they're like, deny. Then he's like, fuck it. I don't care. And they're like, he needs to go back into society.
It's a society.
It's a society.
The water boy.
Needle dick.
When he got released after just a year, he got an apartment or a flat in Manningham, and he enrolled in a psychology program at Bradford College, like as a student.
Yeah.
Not as a subject.
I mean, both, but...
Mm-hmm. In 1989, he got 100 hours of community service because they found an air pistol on him. Because remember, he's like still on probation and shit.
What's an air pistol?
So an air pistol's used to shoot birds and stuff.
Oh.
And so he would shoot the birds and then he would dissect them.
Ew.
Which again, I feel like in a learning environment, okay. Like, I mean, I've dissected animals. Like, I'm not, I mean, I know that some people don't agree with it and all of that, but for me and in my learning as a student, we've used animals. But I mean, like, he's just like shooting shit to shoot shit. You know what I mean? So anyway.
Well, I mean, he's doing a learning thing by himself.
I mean, but he's not.
No, I know.
So then the next year he got arrested again, and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison because he was holding a knife to a girl's throat.
Just randomly?
I don't really know the details around it. I don't know if he was like trying to scare her, trying to assault her. I don't know.
He loves a fucking knife.
I don't know.
Like, everything has been with the knife.
Except for the air gun.
Yeah.
Well, but then he dissected
But he dissected, yeah. Tally for Donna.
Okay, so after his release, he started collecting a lot of books about serial killers to study them, which I feel like, I mean, I have an encyclopedia of serial killers, so
yeah,
that's not that odd.
I mean, but also you didn't tell people I want to be a serial killer, and let me actually...
You don't know what I told my probation officer.
True.
So anyway, he was obsessed with Jack the Ripper.
Hey!
Mm-hmm. The Moors murderers. The acid bath murderers.
Is that your guy that you did?
Yeah, and his favorite was the Yorkshire Ripper, which I'm going to have to do. Add to the list. So now we're going to jump ahead a little bit to 1998. So of course, like all fuckers, he had a girlfriend.
Of course.
A couple. And so he was a total asshole. I mean, Avi, we're talking about him on the podcast, so
right.
Of course he's an asshole. But he was very abusive towards girlfriends.
Ugh.
So he dated this one woman, and when she broke up with him, he flipped his lid. He was harassing her for years.
Years?
Uh-huh. And she ended up being pregnant with his child.
Oh, fuck.
But she miscarried. But even when she was pregnant and he knew she was pregnant with his kid, he did not stop stalking and harassing her.
Wow.
Several women said how he was physically abusive towards them. Some stuff said that he would cut them with glass.
I'm surprised it's not a fucking knife.
Mm-hmm. And then pour boiling water over their heads.
What?
He broke
What?
I know. He broke one girl's nose and hit one so hard it knocked her unconscious.
The fuck?
I just can't get over the boiling water thing, though. I also can't get over the fact that the first time I said boiling.
I know.
When have you ever heard me say that?
I know.
I always say boiling.
I know.
Okay. Anyway, he also had he had a girlfriend that it was for like 2 years that they were together. But that whole time they were together, she had never been to his apartment. And she also, I know, the red flag.
Mm-hmm.
She also never said whether or not he was abusive to her. But she did say that when she finally did go to his apartment, that it scared her so much that she broke up with him. That,
oh my God.
I know that, I will say, one article thing said that all of the surfaces in his apartment were covered with plastic. And so that's why she left. And she's like, skirt.
Yeah, Dexter.
Yeah. And then, but another thing said that because he had a lot of disturbing videos, hundreds of true crime books, not that weird.
I mean, let's just be honest here.
He's an avid reader. A samurai sword. Still, I mean, people have those. And a crossbow that was like leaning up against his television set. So like his crossbow was like out. Like not just like, oh, look at that hanging up on my wall. I might take that out to go hunting deer. You know, it's like leaning on his television.
Yeah. Well, and Marie Kondo comes out in me and I'm like, put that shit up.
I mean, what is it? You should only have 31 books.
Right? But also, I mean, the crossbow, it has a home. Put it there.
Maybe in front of the TV is its home.
But it's not.
You don't know his life.
I'm saying Marie Kondo, okay?
I know.
I'm obsessed.
You are.
I mean, cult of Kondo. I'm there.
She said she would never join a cult.
Why'd
I say that so weird?
I have no.
Join a cult?
You said boiling, you said hunting, and now you said cult.
What? Who am I? Canadian possessed me.
Changeling.
Okay. In 2001, he started to like drink really heavily, dabble in some drugs. He bought 2 lizards and would take them for walks on dog leashes.
Okay. How big were these lizards?
I mean, I'm picturing like iguanas.
Oh, okay. I was picturing fucking lizards, and I'm like, what dog leash fits around their fucking neck? Imagine that. I'm so fucking literal.
Okay, so
though, how do you get them to walk?
I can't even get my ass to walk, much less a fucking lizard.
Like, oh my gosh. Sorry about the walking lizards. That reminds me, something else my mom had, was a dog leash that was like an invisible dog. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
I used to, had one from the store, and I thought it was so fucking funny. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who?
It was like hard, right?
Yes.
Like it was like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I think of this? Some person said, you know what? I'm going to make a leash that literally is just stands up.
Like Scotch guarded.
Yes. And people are going to buy it. And they're going to say they have an invisible dog. And he's a fucking probably multimillionaire.
Uh-huh.
Like, if someone said that, I'd be like, you're so... Like, no. You're going to waste your time on a fucking patent. Meanwhile, I had 4.
Uh-huh. I didn't. Because, again, you got the most random shit as a kid.
I mean, my parents had wholesale, okay?
Okay, so back to my guy and his lizards.
Yes. Sorry. Oh, fuck.
Okay, so he had a friend named Billy, and Billy said that one time he saw old Stephen Griffiths eating
a lizard?
A live baby rat.
Ew! Live baby rat?
Mm-hmm.
How do you... Oh, okay.
Don't ask.
Pass
Do
that.
not
Pass
ask.
that.
Moving along. Okay, also, he decided... You know how I told you he was working on his psychology degree, his bachelor's? Well, he got it.
Okay.
And then...
Good for him.
So then he enrolled in University of Bradford to get his PhD. Okay, so he's unemployed. He's working on school stuff. Been there. But his favorite pastime now, because we're like, we're hitting early 2000s. This is like 2003. He got his bachelor's. So, we're kind of starting to get into the now times. So he loved being on the internet.
As one does.
And he loved violent porn.
Oh, God, as one does.
He gotta watch that, though. That shit'll put a malware on your phone in a heartbeat.
Oh, shit.
He also had a MySpace account. And,
as one does.
I wonder what kind of music he had playing on his MySpace.
Oh, my gosh.
I never had a MySpace, though.
Really?
I didn't understand it.
Imagine that.
But I wasn't I've never been like a blogger. Like, I don't understand blogs.
Yeah. I used to have a live journal.
I know you did. You're such a blogger. You love blogs. You like to do it. You like to read them. You like to do all of the things. And I just don't, but you know why? Because I don't care.
That's true.
Give me the Cliffs Notes version. Don't make me read it.
Actually, you don't want any of that. You want Candy Crush. And Toy Blast. Let me just say.
And I'm on this new game.
The dot game?
It's called Dots, I think. Or 2 Dots or something. So he's eating live rats. He's on MySpace. He's downloading porn. On MySpace, though, a lot of his quotes and stuff would be from...
serial killers?
But the fake one from Red Dragon and stuff.
Yeah. Fucking poser, that's what that is.
His username on MySpace was Vin Pariah, which is like a figure from demonology.
Okay. That would be lost on me. Be like,
oh, I know. I'd be like, Venn
right?
diagram? What?
Oh, shit.
Okay. So I want to change gears a little bit.
Oh, shit. What do you think Tom's picture from 10 years ago to now looks like from MySpace?
Damn.
Oh, my God. I just thought about
Well,
that.
it wouldn't exist because I think it's been more than 10 years that MySpace has been around, huh?
Well, I mean,
No,
like
I
the
know.
first whatever. But that, his picture is iconic.
Although I don't know if I could pick it up out of a lineup.
What?
I didn't have it.
It doesn't matter.
What was his name?
Tom. He's in a white shirt and he's like, like with a whiteboard behind him or some shit. Watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. See, he's like, oh, shit.
Meanwhile, this could be this is why I could be a crazy conspiracy theorist because I'm like, I wonder what the words behind him mean. Beach, South, Pasadena, LAX. Okay. I want to give credit where credit's due for this next little side thing. It's from The Guardian, and it's written by Kathy Scott Clark and Adrienne Levy. And I just want to say, this next little thing, I just love the way it was written.
Okay.
And so I got a lot of information about, this was written back in 2011, but it gave a good kind of description of the climate.
Okay.
In Britain at the time, and just kind of how it led to the things that took place in this case.
Okay.
And I think it's really cool too because it's interviewing 2 women who are sex workers and just kind of, again, what the climate was. And anyway, it was really good. I also got it on Murderpedia. Around 2005-ish is when the West Yorkshire police, they start, or not really, well, I guess anyway, they had this new CCTV surveillance system for the city. It was called Venom. And it had like surveillances of the street. It had plate recognition. And there was like more than 100 cameras throughout the city. This is amazing. Great. I'm all about, like, I ain't got nothing to hide. I mean, I may got to pull out a wedgie, but I ain't got nothing to hide, right? So, but what it did was it created like blind spots in the city where,
Ooh.
yeah. So sex workers who had previously been out on the streets where they were seen, in like these kind of red light districts type things, they were pushed to more like industrial, secluded areas that just was kind of like a breeding ground for violence, and even more so than before, because they were pushed out into these outskirts of these industrial areas,
Yeah, I never even thought about that.
Me neither. Because one thing I read, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but one thing it talked about was while prostitution isn't a crime in England, like working for like a brothel is.
Okay.
And so it creates this like, it's cool if you want to be a sex worker on the street, but you're on your own kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so it takes away like the safeguards of, I'm all about, tangent, I'm all about legalizing it.
Oh, for sure.
Legalize it, tax the fucking shit out of it.
Mm-hmm. Make it safe.
Make them take, STI tests every fucking week.
Yeah.
Make them use protection. Look, you take the black market component out of it, and half this shit goes away because, anyway. So that's my little side soapbox.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So the women are and I'm sure men too. I hate to just say women. People who are sex workers go into these more kind of desolate areas. They're on their own, and so it's more dangerous for them. Mm-hmm. Around that time too is, I guess I don't have to do the story on this guy because I'm going to kind of talk about it here. The Yorkshire Ripper that I talked about. So he ended up being convicted for killing, like, I think 13 sex workers.
Fuck.
And injuring many more. And so,
that's so sad.
Spoiler alert, guess I won't do him. but Stephen Griffiths idolized him. And that was one of the people that he had the books on, that he loved, that he, was, like, obsessed with. So there had been a lot of bad publicity because of how that case was handled with the Yorkshire Ripper. And so there was a little more push to like really use the CCTV and really like solve these crimes against sex workers. So Stephen Griffiths his apartment was like a converted Victorian textile factory.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, but it was on Thornton Road, which is
bad.
It's in that area. Okay. That area of the like industrial wastelands, really. Like one thing calls it like semi-industrial wastelands. Like it's just this kind of you can picture it.
Yeah.
And so he was well known with the sex workers in the area. He lived there for like 15 years. There was another at the time, a killer named Kenneth Valentine, who moved to Soho Mills, which was a converted factory on the same road.
Oh, shit.
And he rented his bedroom out to sex workers, and...
Like an extra bedroom out?
I don't know if it was like his or an extra, but he would rent it out. And those sex workers would have sex for £5 a session. That's it. And he would watch through a drilled hole in the wall until
Porkies.
Until one night in 1996, he raped and killed Caroline Kerri, a 25-year-old sex worker who rejected his advances.
Oh, my gosh.
And so, like, there was just, like, a lot, again, happening. I tell you all that because, like, the Stutcliffe, he's the guy who was the Yorkshire Ripper.
Okay.
It was kind of the same area. It was all sex workers who had no pimp. Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing and a bad thing, obvi, because they didn't have the protection, but they were also whatever. But anyway, so one of the sex workers that they interviewed in this article, her name was Donna.
Hey.
And she talked about, so in April 2001, there was a sex worker, 19-year-old Becky Hall. She up and vanished and was found 13 days later, naked and bludgeoned to death.
Oh, fuck.
She was found, like, behind this low wall on Thornton Street. Like, her clothes were found scattered all around her and used condoms. And Donna was working nearby where she was found. And she said, Donna, this is a quote from Donna, "We heard Becky drowned in her own blood, and we continued to work a few paces away."
Fuck. Holy shit.
So she also said that, like, it was just getting to where that was so commonplace that these sex workers were in such danger all the time. It was just it was the norm now. Mm-hmm. But they say that, like, Stephen Griffiths would cook some of the sex workers. He would cook some of them meals, let them wash clothes there, let them sleep on his sofa if they had nowhere to go. He was like a brother to some of them. Mm-hmm. But they still, like, some of the girls took advantage of him. They would rob him when he said he would, like, go score for him and stuff. Because these, not all of them, I can't say all of them, but a lot of the sex workers had heroin or crack addictions. So I just think, too, that this article was so good because it talked about just the things that some of these women, again, I know that there are men sex workers, but in this article it was focused on women. But it just focused on, like, it was 2008. She was really starting to have a hard time because she's working. And a car stopped up to negotiate a rate with her. And she didn't know it, but 3 other people were hiding behind the back seats. They gang raped her and robbed her, smashed her over the head with a beer bottle, and then threw her out of the speeding car.
Holy fuck.
So she took a break from the streets and just started, like, shoplifting to get her drugs. In June 2009, though, a girl by the name of Suzy Rushworth vanishes. Donna had kind of come back in the game after she had been assaulted and all, but she had decided to kind of stay away from right in that area because she knew, like, all these people were starting to disappear and all. Mm-hmm. But then she heard, like, well, there's fewer sex workers because people are disappearing, so she could get a higher rate, like 3 times as high.
Damn.
So she went back, and she met a sex worker by the name of Louise, who was 20 years old. She was 20 years old. She had been studying to get her degree in public administration. Mm. And then her boyfriend, and I just feel like, and again, I want to tell this part of the story because I feel like this could be anybody. And this has kind of been, not an obsession for me lately, but we've been talking about this a lot. Like, seeing people on Facebook that we went to school with and stuff that have drug addictions. And it's like, how did they end up with a drug addiction and we didn't versus they did? You know what I mean? And just like, so it's just, I just try to figure out the stories, you know? And so I think that this is why this is resonating with me so much right now, you know, just because I've been, like, Facebook stalking people, you know, being like, what's going on in their lives, and just to kind of, because for me, it's almost like a sociology experiment, just like learning, you know? Mm-hmm. But, so when she
Meanwhile, you don't like blogs or anything.
Yeah, but it's because I'm doing the digging. They're not telling me.
Oh, gosh.
Because I'm an armchair detective. So when she was 18, she was already doing, like, taking ecstasy and stuff like that, but her boyfriend kept, like, nagging her, basically, to try crack.
Fuck.
And so she did, and became addicted. So she dropped out of college. She ended up having a baby. Then she lost custody of the baby to the same boyfriend that got her hooked on the drugs.
Oh my God.
He used that against her as a reason for her to not have her kid. And it's like, it's your fault that I'm on drugs, you know?
Wow.
So anyway, so then to get off of the crack, she started using heroin.
Fuck.
And then
Is that like a common thing?
Mm-hmm, I think so. It's not the first time I've heard it, so I think so.
I have no idea.
But anyway, so just like a long history with drugs and, you know, arrests and that sort of thing. And so she ended up being on the street with Donna. So then, around that time, Shelley Armitage, she's 31. She's known to everybody, what they called on the grid, that area. Okay. Donna knew her. She said that she was a super confident girl, that she wanted to become a model. But she was last seen on Rebecca Street the night of April 26, 2010. And that they said, like, she, bless her heart, had been addicted to heroin since she was 16. And she was 31. Can you imagine the life that she has lived? Like, can you just imagine the hardships?
No, I don't want to. That, wow.
Yeah. But, like, okay, so Donna's quoted saying, like, a car would go past and she would say $30 for, like, full sex. And they'd go around the corner and Shelley would do it for $20 because she just was so desperate for the money. And that Shelley, like most women on the grid, had a boyfriend that was completely reliant on her to make money for both of them for their drugs. And
I feel like that's a Lifetime movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
With Zach Morris. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, and he had to become a sex worker. I remember that movie.
Yes.
Because it was, like, unheard of for a male sex worker.
Yes. And also, I think that was his first...
Like serious role?
Not Zach Morris. Man, Lifetime movies used to be the bomb.
So when Shelley went missing, her boyfriend again was because of their, I hate to say their lifestyle, but you know, because she worked on the streets, and so there may be days that she was not coming home and all that. It took him a few days before he realized that she was missing, and so he finally called her family and was like, "Hey, you know, we hadn't seen her." So it had been about a week before they were like, "Okay, something's really wrong here," and they reported that she was missing. So now there's 2 women that have gone missing on the grid.
So they're off the grid?
So about a month after those 2 women had gone missing, everything's kind of quiet. But then Shelley's best friend, Suzanne Blomers, no idea. I'm so sorry that I don't know how to say that name. So she was still on the streets. She's 36. Donna says that, Donna in the story, not you, Donna.
Yeah.
Says that Suzanne was an alcoholic that, well, her quote is, she was a drunk and stumbling around. But she had a really hard history, too, like, from the sex worker trade, like, with being gang raped and just
Gosh,
I mean, awful
terrible.
things.
These women are so fucking strong.
The amount, like, so in the article too, it talks about how after Donna had been, because remember I told you, like, that car where those 3 guys were hiding, they, like, jumped her, gang raped her, and it took her, you know, a month or more before she was able to go back on the streets, because, I mean, she's traumatized. Well, in the article it talks about how Suzanne, she was... Like, let me just read this quote that it's from Donna talking about Suzanne after she was gang raped. She said, "But Suzanne was so mad that she just slept it off like a hangover and went out again the next night covered in bruises."
Oh, fuck.
Can you imagine?
No.
Suzanne did not have, like, what you would think of as would be a typical upbringing from someone who ends up on the streets. Like, she grew up, it sounds like pretty, like, middle class, maybe upper middle class.
Okay.
But she had started, like, weekends, going to raves, doing some ecstasy. And then in the 90s, how the thing said, those weekend raves kind of started into week-long binges on crack and heroin. And so she had been, like, this happily married 20-year-old that it just spiraled. And she ended up on the street.
That's so sad.
So she was last seen on Sunbridge Road in the early hours of May 22nd of 2010. And then, so now the police are, again, they had that failed attempt at figuring out who the Yorkshire Ripper was. And so they're just a little more alert. Like, okay, we got 3 women missing now. Like, we really need to figure this out.
Yeah.
Well, then a major break happens. So okay. There's this guy named Peter Gee, and he was the Homefield Court caretaker. And so he calls the police on one afternoon, freaking his freak, because he was reviewing footage from the private security cameras in the, like, apartment complex, basically. And he saw on the camera this woman running from apartment number 33, like hauling ass in the early hours of May 22nd. As she's running, a man comes out of the apartment, like, tackles with her. They fight, and then he shoots her twice, point blank range, in the back of the head.
Fuck.
With a crossbow.
Oh, shit.
And then drags her back into his flat.
Oh, shit.
Then, this motherfucker knows that he was being filmed on that camera, walks back out to the camera, holding his crossbow, like, at his chest, holds it high, and flips the camera off. Walks back to his flat.
The fuck?
A few hours after, he starts coming out of his flat with, like, a black bin full of bags.
Wow.
Like, all these different, like, a bunch of different bags. So this guy's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Takes it to police. Well, they ended up identifying the woman as Suzanne, the last girl I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
And now they knew who he was because Obvi, it's his apartment. It's Stephen Griffiths.
Yeah.
And so again, like I said, he lived there for like 15 years. They they know that he has all this history of violence. They know that he had, sex workers come up all the time. So they're like, okay, let's go search his apartment.
Right.
While they're in there, they find more video footage on his computer, and it had like pictures and video of a naked woman like tied up in his shower with the words "My sex slave" spray painted on her back.
Ew.
And they identified that woman as Shelley.
Oh.
So now they're like, okay, like we got some.
How did he spray paint that on her back?
She must have been an extra large pizza.
I mean, I was just thinking,
And maybe it was like 10-point font.
like, shit, he's very precise.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot known about exactly how he killed the women. Except for the obvious, we saw him do it on camera.
Right.
What we do know is that he would roam the grid until he found some sex workers. He would take them back to his apartment. Again, we know that Suzanne was shot and stabbed, but we don't really know how he killed other victims. But it's thought that he would more than likely use his crossbow. After he would kill the victims, he would put them in his bathtub and dismember them.
Fuck.
He would cook some of their body parts
No.
to eat.
Ew, no.
And sometimes he would eat them raw.
Ew.
That's fucking disgusting.
I mean,
That says it all.
this guy did eat live rats, so.
Allegedly. We don't know that for sure. That was somebody. Because people come out of the fucking woodworks and saying all kind of shit when shit like this happens. So they probably didn't. He probably cooked it.
Well, he
I
didn't
know.
cook. Kerri.
I'm just saying.
Ugh. Ugh.
I know. Hey.
And he kissed people afterwards.
Do you kiss your mama with that mouth? That's all I could think of.
Ew.
So after he dismembered them and cannibalized what he wanted,
Ew.
he would take them like in plastic bags and dump them in a nearby lake. So we know for sure that he killed Suzy, Shelley, and Suzanne. Suzanne's the one that was on the video.
Okay.
There are about 6+ women that they think he may have murdered, but they're not sure. So he ended up confessing. They found...
Well, Lord, I would hope so. I mean, good Lord.
The police found 81 fragments of Suzanne's body.
Oh my gosh.
They only found Shelley's shoulders, some vertebra, and some connective tissues, but they never found any of Suzy.
Oh, God.
So he was sentenced. He in jail forever.
Good.
So when I'm looking this up today, he 2 days ago
Oh my gosh.
was shanked up into prison.
Oh, fuck.
He alive, but barely. No, I don't know about but barely. But he survived, but like legit 2 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
Shanked. And apparently he's attempted suicide like multiple times in prison, and he just is not doing well up in prison.
Well, good.
No, I know.
I could not sleep if I was next to him, being like, he ate raw people.
Mm-hmm.
He ate people.
Yep.
Like, what if he doesn't like the meals that they're serving? He has a fucking buffet.
Oh my God.
No.
So he kind of like coined the name himself, but he was given the name the Crossbow Cannibal. So like I said, convicted because he pled guilty, all 3 murders. He was sentenced to life in prison with whole life order, meaning like he won't be eligible for parole. So one of his, like what they think is a suicide attempt was he went on a 2-month hunger strike.
How?
I don't fucking know, because I don't fucking know. And he didn't have any, like, it wasn't like for something. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, we're being treated poorly, blah, blah, blah. No, like, he just did it. And so that's why they think it may have been a suicide attempt.
There's no way he did not eat for 2 months.
Well, we also don't know if he had water. We don't know, I don't know all the details to that. But 2-month hunger strike.
That's a lie. You know he snuck something.
You know that?
Or he nibbled on somebody's fingers.
Oh, God.
Finger food, anybody? You better hope they wash their fucking hands.
No, that's just nasty. So, yeah. So, that is the story of Stephen Griffiths and the Bradford murders.
Wow.
A.K.A. the Crossbow Cannibal.
He didn't want to eat them, but he had to because he liked that alliteration. It has to happen.
Oh, my God. The shit you come up with.
Okay. Picture it. 1892, Denver, Colorado. Super swanky mansion. Located at 420 East 11th Avenue. This home was 12,000 square feet.
Shit.
4 floors and an attached carriage house.
Did it have an elevator?
No. It has stained glass windows and my favorite, turret rooms.
Oh. Everybody needs a good turret room.
Uh-huh. Just don't get a doll. Okay. It also features a grand ballroom, 9 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, a living room, a library, and a dining room.
Jeez.
But no kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. Like, why don't they ever... I don't know. They never list that kind of shit, but...
I guess because it's...
Like, mandatory?
Standard. Yeah.
I mean, they could have a hot plate.
Who knows?
So, the guy who built it, they will come. His name is Thomas Croak. So, he was a teacher from Wisconsin, and he came to Denver, and then he was, like, in the money because he made his fortune as a businessman. So, according to legend, he built the house in 1892, like I said, entered it one time, and was so scared he never went back in the place and sold it 2 years later.
What?
They said that he just went in and didn't like the feel of it. And turned around, never went back in. However, real estate records reveal that he lived in the house for 6 months, and the real culprit for him leaving was more likely the crash of the silver market. However, his wife did pass away before the home's completion, so that left him a widow and a single parent. So his parents moved in to help him, and his mom died there. So after his mom passed away, he later traded the house for some land that was owned by Thomas Patterson. Patterson, he was a U.S. Senator for Colorado, and he also was the owner of Rocky Mountain News, which is Colorado's first publication, newspaper. So he lived in the house with his wife, Catherine, and their 2 daughters, Mary and Margaret. They also had a son, James, but he died by suicide in California before the family moved into the house.
Oh.
Then Mary, one of his daughters, died from chronic illness, in quotations, because they never specified. And they say that it could be something with the house that caused her to get sick, that kind of like open-endedness. But she passed away in 1894, and then his wife passed away in 1902.
Oh, God.
So after that, he deeded the house to his daughter, Margaret, the only living child. Mm-hmm. Margaret and her husband, Richard C. Campbell. So Patterson lived in the house for 23 years until he died in July 1916. Then the Campbells continued to live in the mansion until 1924, and that would mean that they're the longest single family who lived in this house. They sold the house to Louise Realty Company. So then it switches a few hands and is like a dance hall and all kinds of little things. But this is where it gets a little more dark. One of the tenants would be Dr. Archer Suzanne, and he purchased and moved in 1947, year my daddy was born. His wife, Talene, she was a nurse, and obviously she was moved in with him. They had a son, Archer Jr. He did not live in the mansion with them. He was old enough to, not be there. And they say that they were happy and social and, everything. But Talene, she died by suicide in one of the bathrooms on the third floor.
Oh, God.
In 1950, using a powerful pesticide, cyanogas. I'm sorry, I don't know. But they said that creates cyanide when it's combined with moisture. And so it effectively suffocates anyone close enough to be exposed to the gas.
Oh, God.
It's similar to the Cyclone B, which is a gas they used in the Holocaust to gas people. So it's like mustard gas.
Yeah.
But it's made from cyanide. Like rat poisoning, basically. Or I think it was actually ant killer or something.
Oh, my God.
Which is just so sad and so, I just never know any of this shit.
Well, and how many people died before they figured that out?
Right?
Being like, oh, here's the ant poison. Oh, it's raining while you're using it, you're dead.
Right? Or oh, I got it on me. Let me wash it off. And then, fuck. Anyway, okay, so she did that. And it was rumored that the reason behind that was that she had a miscarriage. With that rumor, that is one of the tales is that they hear a woman crying looking for her lost baby.
Oh, God.
And they'll hear sounds of a crying baby when no one's in the house. And some people who have entered the house, they claim that when they get to the third floor on the stairs is that they can't breathe. They feel like they're suffocating and kind of gasping. It said within 1 to 3 minutes, all the oxygen is gone when you use that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so it's
fast.
Fast.
Shit.
Yeah. So supposedly she had used a bathtub full of water, and then with the cyanide or that ant poisoning. What's strange to me is Dr. Suzanne, he continued to live in the house until 1958, and he had a second wife that lived there too.
Well, people don't always... you didn't move out of your house when your mom died. Yeah.
It wasn't suicide.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing a second mama into the house. Come here, be my other mama. That's the only thing that's... It's not a natural death.
Yeah, but it's also this huge house.
Just don't go up to the third floor.
But you know what I mean? You really could do it and not ever go up there.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I don't want to live like fucking the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
True.
So when him and his second wife moved out, AJ, Archer Jr., he moved in and he served as a landlord for his apartment, for the apartments. So his dad, kind of created apartments in the below areas and stuff.
Okay. Smart.
So records show that that was sold in October of 1972. In 1973, it was saved by Mary Ray and her husband, saved from demolition, but it was a historic landmark. All right, so then in the late 70s, the building was renovated for office space. And here's when some dun happens. The construction workers would leave for the night, only to come back the next day, find all of their work undone. Then they're like, okay, some homeless people, they are coming in, fucking with their shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they put up a fence around the building, and then, like, that didn't work. It was still happening. So they're like, okay, let's get a guard. Well, he quit after one night.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, let's get guard dogs. So they got 2 Doberman pinchers. And this is very sad.
Oh.
But one of the dogs jumped from a window on the 3rd floor the first night and died. And then the second one, the next night, he was found in the basement in like a catatonic state.
Oh my God.
And he never recovered, so they had to put him down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, oh my God.
Right? So eventually the office spaces were constructed, but employees would hear typewriters and other office supplies being used when no one else was around. And a lot of people say this was Thomas Patterson because he worked in the newspaper and stuff. But so they held a seance there because, as one does.
I was about to say.
To determine who's haunting.
Because, they're always honest.
Right. But they found out that a spirit of a little girl whose body was supposedly entombed in the cellar was there. Okay? So people are like, let's go check it out. If you hear this, you're gonna...
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do? Oh, shit, yeah, we knew about that, but we thought it was a joke. You know? So they go to the basement. It's dug up. I was going to say excavated, but I don't know if that's right.
Excavated, I think.
Excavated?
I
okay.
think so.
See,
who knows, though? They had digged it up.
But, so they found a hidden chamber, but there was no body, but it was filled with sea sand.
Sea sand?
Yeah, like sand from...
The sea?
Well, from I feel like the beach. Like...
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously a different kind of sand.
Okay.
But, it didn't belong there.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're in Colorado.
Yeah. But other people said it was ash there. So, I don't know. But, no body was found there. But why is this hidden chamber? You know what I mean? It's just kind of... And that this person knew about it.
Uh-huh.
One person who owned the building in 1998, which I feel like was a date in your story. Yeah, it was. I know it was.
Yeah.
But they claimed to see ghosts, and they witnessed household items move on their own. Then in 2004, this one guy said that he saw an apparition of a maid, and they would go up and down the stairs, but only her upper body and torso would be visible, and her legs, would seem to just disappear as she walked up. Thomas Patterson, he's said to have been seen numerous times going from the courtyard between the mansion and the carriage house. Mm-hmm. They said, it was an older man in period clothing.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
That would be him, yeah.
So, while the building was served as an apartment building with AJ, the occupants on the lower floor would be like, doop, 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 doop. I can't do your sound, but be like, look, someone's having a fucking party up there, trying to sleep. What's going on?
Yeah.
And, people, or AJ, he'd go up there and no sound, And so then they were like, okay, well, I hear it.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going on until someone goes and checks and it's nothing there. There's also a story. This is the kind of ghost I need, okay?
Uh-oh.
Catherine Patterson, the wife of Thomas. Mm-hmm. Who am I? The fucking Handmaid's Tale?
I was about to say, of Thomas.
But, so there was this pregnant lady, Dr. Douglas Eichler, and his wife, Melody. Melody was pregnant, and they had lived there for 10 years. Or, I'm sorry, they lived in the mansion for 10 years. I don't know when this happened in that time. So Melody, she's pregnant and like about to pop. And so she's laying in bed one night by herself and she's like, I mean, I get it, but like trying to roll over, but just was like, oh God, like hurting and everything. And she like reached out and there was a hand and she like pulled it and it helped her roll over. And when she faced, it was a woman in period clothing. And so she said it was Croke-Patterson that helped her.
Holy crap.
And I'm like, I need somebody. I mean, that's a life alert right there.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
How, like, first of all, would you have been like, did she think it was her husband? Like, how, like, you know what I mean? Like,
or, like, just, it was in her sleep, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
But I feel like if I'm up at my house and something reaches out and helps me move over, I'm going to be like, holy fuck.
Well, I'd be like, oh, thanks. Wait a minute.
That wasn't right. You're not supposed to be here.
Right. The emojis with the eyes, like,
yeah. Or my new favorite, the eyebrow one.
Yeah. Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research Society, or RMPRS. Easy
for you to say.
Mm-hmm. Every time I read that, I was rompers. That's what. But he said that Bonner is the guy that is over it. He said that he, like, talked to different owners at the, like, period, whatever, different owners, and anyone who seemed to have contact with the mansion for a long period of time seemed to start to, like, lose it in there. And he used Talene Suzanne, who died by suicide, as a example.
Yeah.
So, Rompers, they also did a radio show in the mansion during one of the times that it was vacant. And so they're like, all right, we're going to sleep here. So, like, y'all pick a place. And one of the sound engineers, Casey Lamb, he stayed in the basement and he, like, came back upstairs immediately. And he was like, there's a fucking man standing in a corner. He said that he really couldn't see a body, but he could see a face. And so they searched the mansion, couldn't find anything, but that place in the basement where he saw the man is the same place where the catatonic dog was found. And it's in the same corner that the Eichler's daughters had previously claimed that a man would be standing by their toys all the time.
Nope. Fucking nope. I thought you were going to say that was where the secret room with all the ash / sand was.
No, I mean, probably.
Oh my God, nope. I never want to see anything like that. Like there's a piece of me that's like, I want to see something because it's like, I kind of want to. But then there's the larger self that's like, fuck no.
Yeah, like, what would I do?
I would die.
Well, I definitely know that I don't want to see anything in my house.
Oh, fuck no.
But if I'm like, okay, I'm going to ghost hunt and with a group. If I know, like, okay, Kerri's here, someone else is here with me that I can hopefully run to. I mean, something. It would be easier than me being like, okay, I'm going to go spend the night by myself in this haunted place. And then I see it. No, then I'm like, done for. Someone gets my spooky town.
Dibs. And there's no fucking splitting up.
No.
There's no, you go down in the basement and sleep, and I'll go up to this murder room and sleep.
Because we're Shaggy and Scooby, and like, we got to stay together.
Yes.
And we definitely got to have Scooby snacks.
Yeah, we got to have all the lasagna, or whatever. Was that what they ate?
That was Garfield.
I swear they ate lasagna, too. They ate everything. Pizza, they ate everything.
Yeah, they ate everything.
As do we.
Yes. So, the house remained vacant for a while, and now its most current owner, Brian Higgins, he purchased the building, and he turned it into a bed and breakfast. So, you can stay there. If we stay there, we're staying there together.
Not in that fucking basement, we're not.
But we definitely have to have a king-size bed.
2 separate queens.
True. Actually, God, you always have the best ideas.
Don't touch me.
And also, you sleep with way too much fucking cover.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So I found kind of like an interview, I guess, by this lady, Anne Alexander Leggett, and her daughter. They wrote a book called A Haunted History of Denver's Croke-Patterson Mansion. So they did like lots of research on it, and they like listed out a few of the like spookiest, or not spookiest, but you know, whatever, spooky shit. Okay. Okay, so they say, number one, there's a caretaker in the carriage house. So they say the carriage house has a completely different energy than the main house. The mom and daughter, they had a psychic named Krista, and she was like having a conversation with people that they couldn't hear. And what she said is that there's a spirit in the carriage house, and it's of an Irish caretaker. And both of the Pattersons and the Crokes were of Irish descent. So it, you know, could be one of them. Or, you know, like anyone else. But whatever. Krista said that the ghost was immediately put off by them being there, and basically was like, what are you doing here? And Krista explained, like, they're writing a book, and I'm here to, like, try to see what I can feel, blah, blah, blah. So then the woman, the ghost, was like, okay, if she's ever afraid in the main house, just tell her to come in here and she'll be safe. And then when they were leaving, she said, tell her we want her to write the whole story. She has to tell the whole story.
What the hell?
Right? And one, I'm like, I'd just be up in the carriage house, be like, I'm safe here. Okay.
And what drives me nuts is that, like, just tell me the whole story then. Don't be coy. Don't make me go in there to the creepy main house. It's going to scare me, and I have to come in here and be safe. Just fucking tell me the story.
Be like, okay, here's a Starbucks coffee. Mm-hmm. Let's do this.
Here's your popcorn.
Cheese Danish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, gotta have that.
Mm-hmm.
All about the carbs. Also, they mentioned the ghost of Kate Patterson about helping the pregnant lady, Melody. Mm-hmm. And they said that when she rolled over and, you know, saw the lady and was like, and the apparition said, my name is Kate.
Mm.
So that's even more confirmation that it was Catherine Patterson. They say that Melody, the pregnant lady, her husband had an office on the third floor, which third floor is where, like, all the shit had happened. You know, like, the suicide, the dogs, everything. I know, I can't even talk about the dogs anymore. So he had a desk between, like, two little closets, and then they had a couch on the right-hand side. And he always had his drawers locked, because, you know, he probably been doing something dirty. But she said that you can sit on the couch and you could watch the drawers just open and close by themselves. And, like, if they're open, you know, like, you would go over there and it'd be locked.
Damn.
Yeah. They also found that there's a woman who had lived there with triplets. And so she had a friend who brought in a priest, and he was going to bless the house, you know, like, exorcise the demons. And he walked in, immediately went to the front parlor and was saying his blessing. And then all of a sudden, the plaster starts to peel off from where, like, the fireplace was. And then this, like, dark vortex of wind comes out from the fireplace. Priest was like, deuces. I'm like, one, Skirt, you are supposed to, like, be able to withstand that and keep saying your prayer. But, I mean,
he was like, you own your fucking own.
He has a different calling.
Mm-hmm. The door.
Fuck. Krista said that when she went into the house the first time, like, she was bombarded with voices. So, like, they went in, had a tape recorder in their hands, and this is her daughter, Jordan, talking. And she said that 2 days ago, I finally got the tape. And from what I can hear, it's some of the craziest stuff ever. Krista will pick up something and say, oh, I'm getting a woman named Rosemary. Rosemary, something Marie. Mary? You know, I don't know. And then you hear a pause and there's a whisper that's like, Rose.
Damn.
You know, like, oh my God, could you imagine?
No.
Like, Rose from Titanic. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Had to bring it back there.
Mm-hmm.
When Anne was researching, she Googled Croke-Patterson, which is what this is called because, you know, Croke-Patterson. In some things now it's called Croke-Patterson Campbell because of all the major players that live there, but whatever. She got to this lady's blog because she, like me, likes blogs. And
sort of.
She said that she had an office there in the late 80s when there were different office spaces. And this is, you know, when the typewriters, copiers, all of that would make the noise, sound like there's a lot of commotion upstairs, all of that. And so she just kind of had briefly described some stuff of the strange happenings there. So she found her email and was like, would you be willing to talk to me about it? She didn't answer for like a long time. Finally came back and was like, why? Like, that's it. So Anne was like, I'm researching this. I'm going to write a book, blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't respond for a while. And so she emails her back like, hey, just checking in. Like, this is a good account, you know, that we can have. She gets another, like, a response and just says, good luck with the book.
Damn.
It's like she couldn't go back there.
Yeah.
You know, couldn't open that up. She said that she did answer one question initially. And she said, did you ever feel like you were physically unsafe in the house? And the lady said, I never felt physically unsafe, but I feared for my soul.
Shit.
So in the early 70s, you know, they were going to tear it down. Then Mary Ray is who I talked about. She saved the house and bought it. So it had tenants in it because it was an apartment building at the time. But she could not keep the people there. They would bail in the middle of the night. Like,
oh, shit.
Like, not even a deep, 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 deep. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Like, gone. They said because of, like, baby crying, lots of noises. She had a young couple living down on the main floor in one of the units, and she gets a call on Sunday afternoon, and they have a baby, and he's like, you need to come over now. And so she goes, he opens the door, and the place is, like, completely turned upside down. Like, everything's in fucking shambles. And so they have a big fireplace, and it has a huge wood and brass insert in it. So, I mean, just wood and brass means extra fucking heavy. And it's, like, not there anymore.
Oh,
because
shit.
They were sitting in the apartment, and all of a sudden the insert blew out from inside of it from, like, a huge force of wind. And it's like a 75-pound thing at least, you know? So it's just like that huge wind that also happened from a fireplace with the priest who was doing the blessing. So that's twice that has come up. They did mention about the baby in the basement, like that was supposedly buried down there. And they said that they've had psychics come in, and they have reported that they feel like a child was lost down there, or they hear like a weeping mother down there and get a child presence. So, I mean, it is kind of, these people might not know what's, you know, they don't know the story, because again, that's not like a widely known thing.
Right.
And so it's just kind of like a connection with that. At the top of the stairs to the third floor, they say you can get up about 2/3 of the way there, and all of the oxygen feels like it's gone.
Oh.
When they were like walking through with Krista, the psychic, on the tape recorder, you can hear Anne and Krista, like, both gasping
Bless
for air up at the top of the stairs. And again, that is where Tulene...
Right. The cyanide stuff. Yeah.
And they said that Krista, when she was gasping, she said, a woman up here suffocated and, like, could not breathe. This is how she died. And they didn't know that until months later when they were actually, like, looking through microfiche, and they actually found a death certificate, which was rare, they said, from finding it back then. And it was about that. So, like, that was confirmed later.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So, one more thing. Found a podcast, and it's called At the Fire. And because I couldn't find a whole lot of information. I mean, I feel like this is a pretty good amount of information, but, like, usually I have it from, like, a lot of different sources.
Right.
And this time it wasn't. But I found this podcast, and this guy named Jack, he called in and told about his experience with the house. And so when he was in college, he was going to shoot a documentary for a class, but they said that they could do a mockumentary. So him and his friend were like, let's do it. Let's make fun of ghost hunters. Because...
Hello.
Yes. And they were like, we're going to do it, like, really, where you can see, like, the string pulling the door open, and, you know, like, really goofy. He's like, way easy to make fun of. And 2, I actually like paranormal shit. So,
yeah,
you know, so let's do it in a real haunted house, be authentic of that, but then, you know, be fake everything else. Went into the Google and was like, haunted house in Denver, because that's where he is. Found Croke Mansion, and it's only 2 blocks away from his school. So he was like, all right, let's just go.
Save money on a cab.
Let's just go see what they'll let us do. You know, the owner was like, sure. And it's a mom with triplets. Remember, that was earlier.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, come on in. Which he was like, we look like degenerate college kids.
Right.
2 males, like, we're, you know, he's like, but I guess because we had equipment that she was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean,
surely they're who they say they are.
Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, come on in. So she didn't go all the way up to the 3rd floor.
Because she's smart.
And so, like, she told him about the Doberman Pinschers, R.I.P., and he said there was a crack in the window, and it was, like, just a full crack where you can see that they had tried, like, they repaired it enough of that, but that is where the dog supposedly went through. I know. Also, he said when he was up on the 3rd floor, it was really hard for him to breathe, and he felt, like, super heavy on his chest. And she's like, okay, y'all can have your equipment, but they will drain your batteries. And they're like, okay, you know, like, sure, we hear it all the time. And he actually had to have his equipment plugged in to a power source, because if they unplugged it, it would just be like, no.
Wow.
Zero. I can't do a thing. I suck at do it.
What?
Like, yeah, that's it. Do it again.
I wonder if how high the electricity bill is there. Remember how that one story you told where his electricity bill was really, really high? I wonder if it's like that there.
I don't know. Probably not everything gets turned off.
True. But
he said even their phones would, like, it was off. So they used walkie-talkies. However, it was a lot of interference between the walkie-talkies. He said the lights would flicker. Just everything was like, okay, this ain't right, you know? So they flipped a coin, and he got the basement, and his friend got the 3rd floor, because those seem to be, like, the 2 main places. They both heard a rubber ball bouncing, and he said that, Jack, the guy, he said that he had night vision on, and he saw what looked to be like a young girl bouncing the ball, and his friend was in a room but heard the ball like in the hallway.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't see the girl. And he said, like, he was like, okay, super freaked out down there. And he was trying to leave the basement, but it was kind of like a maze. And so then he hears this loud music upstairs, and it sounds like people are dancing. And he's like, it's like old-timey swing music, not like bumping music,
right.
you know. That helps him solve the maze to get out from all the crap, because he's like going towards the music. Mm-hmm. He runs up the stairs to see, like, what the fuck is this mom doing with the triplets, because they about it. Because, I mean, she's just leaving them in the house while they're in the house. Like, she's like, we about to go to bed. Y'all do whatever y'all need to do.
Damn.
I mean, this lady needs to listen to our podcast. I'm just saying. But, so he gets up the stairs. Nothing's there. No one is, you know, dancing. No one has music on. Everything is quiet as a mouse. That's not being ate by your guy.
Ooh.
So his friend was like, over, coming down. He's like, you're never going to believe what I had. A rubber ball was bouncing, and every time he would look away, these stuffed animals seemed to change positions a little bit. Mm-mm. And they would just be in a slightly different position each time. They lasted until 5 a.m., but a lot of their equipment was defective, and so it was on, like they would have it recording a room, but when they would look at it, when they went to get it, it was just a blank screen.
Man.
So his roommate had a brand new MacBook, like had just bought it a few days before, and he's like, hey, will you let me work on this? Because it was like all the rage, you know, right. And he's like, I could do GarageBand, be, you know, doing this. So he's like, yeah. Put the stuff. And his screen went solid red, and his computer crashed. And he was like, what the fuck? And was freaking out, you know, got it back, but they cannot get that stuff to work. Like, they can't pull it up to see what they captured.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was like a very interesting thing where they were going to do a mockumentary and ended up, they couldn't even do their fucking
real
shit because it's, you know, fucked up. But, so creepy.
Oh my gosh.
So that is the mansion in Denver. So I know we got some peeps up in there. Have y'all went? Do you know the Muffin Man? No, because this place is beautiful, but definitely looks haunted.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all can keep that shit up in Denver. All right, what did we learn? Number
one thing I've learned, like, for real learned, like, eyes opened, is about the CCTV that we think, my dad always says it, like, the more with technology, like, you think it's doing great, it's like, there's always a shady side to it, and there's always an underbelly where people lose jobs, blah, blah, blah. And that's so true. I didn't even think about that puts them into an unsafe territory that's more secluded, more shady.
Yep.
You know, and so it protects the citizens, you know, like, quote unquote.
Right.
And so we live oblivious, and we're like, this is great. However, it's making an underbelly that is so dangerous that, you know, I mean, God, you listed 25,000 different things that happened that were...
like, basically on one street, too.
Yeah. That were, like, bad. Terrible. So, that is definitely something I learned. Always two sides to a coin, and I definitely need to see both.
That's very insightful of you.
Thank you. Also, ghosts can be helpful. If you got a big belly and you can't turn over, they will always have a helping hand and just pull you over to the other side.
That almost sounded like a nursery rhyme. If you've got a big belly and you can't turn over. Oh, no, you know what it sounded like?
Oh, shit, what?
Diarrhea. You remember that? What was that saying?
Yes.
If you got a...
Oh, fuck.
Oh, God, how'd it go? If you Diarrhea. If you got a
if you feel the like brown coming, what is it?
Oh well. All I can think about is that creepy man standing in the corner, and he can stay at that damn house.
I don't want.
Yo lie.
I don't want to see you, creepy man. Unless you're single and looking to mingle.
And if you're gonna be creepy, you better be fucking rich.
Or you got a big ghost stick. I mean.
But you know what? If there's one thing we learned from the lady that married the 400-year-old pirate, it doesn't last.
No, it doesn't. They fucking ghost your ass.
Literally.
Well, you know what? If you've ever been with a ghost, we need to hear about it.
Oh my God, send us all the stories.
Like, give us all the dirty deeds that you did in the sheets.
With your man under a sheet. Because he's a ghost.
He's a ghost.
Terrible joke. Terrible. It was worth it. Look, I had to.
I mean, you got the whole visualization.
Yeah. Y'all don't forget, send us those sinister sightings. Send us your ghost stick. Send us.
We don't need to see the ghost stick.
Don't send us ghost sticks. Send us your stories about ghost sticks.
Yes.
Send us any true crime stuff you have, any
local
paranormal
news
stuff, absolutely, urban legends, that kind of thing. And don't forget to subscribe and review. Reviews are important. They help us out a ton.
And if you want to be like Lexi, join the Creepinati.
Go to patreon.com/the
APC podcast.
And remember,
creep it real and don't get scared.